Before we jump into everything today, I just want to make sure that whether you are on LinkedIn or you are on YouTube checking us out, that you follow or subscribe. And this is just going to make it that you are getting the fastest access to anything we put out. So whether they are live streams like this, whether it's ebooks, different reports, we have so much to share here at Velosio, and we want to make sure that you're able to get it first. So with that, my name is Jessica Rodriguez. I am the digital marketing manager here at Velosio. And today I have a very special guest with me, the CEO of Velosio himself, Robbie Morrison. Hello, Robbie.
Hello, Jessica. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump right into today's topic, because we want to talk about creating a data-driven culture and what that looks like from a CEO level. And I think before we kind of get into everything, I would love to hear your definition of what a data-driven organization is. What does it look like?
Yeah, sure. To me, a data-driven organization is a company that really treats data as an asset, maybe even a primary asset, a way to differentiate themselves from their competitors and really to drive their business forward. That could be, taking customer data and really being able to act on what's coming in the future and what your customers need. It could be, taking a larger sets, market data, to be able to know where to head in your company, where to go in your company, or really just utilizing production data to better drive efficiencies and effectiveness of your supply chain, your inventory levels, really just using data to differentiate your business.
And over the years, we have seen incredible changes, right? Probably good and bad, depending on what you're focused on here. But when it comes to organizations specifically, why would you say that being data-driven, especially with everything, is no longer an option for people?
Yeah, I think it's really, what are your competitors doing? Where's the industries going? But also the accessibility of data is become so much greater in the last, 10 years that really it's becoming a differentiation for the brightest companies, the most successful companies in the world. We hear about the Metas, Facebooks of the world and how they're really data driven. But utilizing data to get to your customers, the way they want it, to be able to optimize your operational efficiencies, make sure that there's not waste in the system. If you don't do that, your competitors are, and you won't be able to compete. It might be your products are too expensive, or it might be that you're too much of a secret on what you're going, or God forbid you produce something, create something that the market no longer needs or wants. You think about many supply chains take a while for production to make it through and make it to the end location for the customer to acquire. If you're not looking at all the data accessible and your competitors are, then you may create the wrong things. You may drive a product through those supply chains that they're never purchased, and that's horrible for multiple reasons. If you're talking about professional services companies like we are, if you're not driving the high efficiencies of your resources and you're looking at how those customers are reacting to your messages and to your deliverables, your solutions that you're going to market, and then again your competitors probably are, and you're not able to compete on this level of playing field, or hopefully be able to outcompete your competitors and grow your business. It's so important to utilize the tools you have at hand, and data is, to me, one of the biggest tools that our modern businesses have to act on and to utilize to grow their businesses.
And just like you said, there's so much available now where you can be making so many more informed decisions than you ever could have, 10, 15 years ago. And it's all at our fingertips. And with that, it makes me think of some of the, I would say, common pitfalls that come up. So if you are seeing an organization that understands the importance of data, they really want to go all in, they want to get everyone on board, what are some of those things that you've seen that you'd want to kind of just warn them against?
Yeah, there's a lot in that. There's a lot of pitfalls. I'd say data silos, data that's not interconnected and doesn't play to the overall picture of the business is a huge pitfall. Creating, silos of data has traditionally been something that we've seen with our customers at Velosio, and honestly, things that we've had in the past that really created issues for to be able to use data in the way that we needed to. And then what I would use the term master data management, but really data hygiene, making sure that your data is well kept. It needs to be clean. It needs to be in a format that's accessible to your analytical engines, whether that's a new generative AI engine, whether that's an older reporting type solution. But that data hygiene, that master data management, if there's not good standard operating procedures and processes in place to keep your data in a healthy a state, then you really can't benefit from it as easily and as quickly as you need to. Having data at your fingertips that's quickly accessible means that you can react quicker than the market reacts or quicker than your competitors react, and that allows you to make decisions and maybe corner a market opportunity when others are unable to. If that data isn't accurate, you might corner something you didn't mean to, or if that data is not in a structure by which it's accessible and connected to the other important parts of the organization, again, you might make a bad decision, or you might make a no decision because you didn't see it in the way that you want or you need to. So to me, it's really comes down to breaking down data silos, not having those data silos. That's a major pitfall that people have. And then making sure that data, that master data management's clean, that you're maintaining it on an ongoing basis, and you've got some type of mechanism to validate the accuracy and cleanliness of that data.
Mm-hmm. And how would you say that CEOs can kind of foster that collaboration between IT and business teams to eliminate those data silos that can come up?
Well, that's an excellent follow-up question. I'd say there's a lot to that. A lot of times, the IT trying to keep standards, keep the systems in optimal working order can be at odds with a business units trying to move quickly. And, a lot of times I've seen that business units need and want to implement some best of breed software package, some solution that gives them what they feel like is better efficiencies in their departments. But that creates a data silo, and that creates potentially a security risk, or it also might cost the business more because they are creating this one-off solution that's not connected to the primary source of the truth in the organization, are not feeding back information that others can react on and benefit from. So you need to create a mechanism by which IT really has a say in what's implemented, and has what I would call the overarching view of the systems that need to be ran inside the organization. Your CIO, your head of applications needs to have a view into everything being implemented across the organization, so that when it's implemented, they can make sure that they're connecting and the similar fields, similar data sources are replicated, are connected, and that you're not creating this one-off set of data that doesn't tie back into to the overall direction of the company and the KPIs, the key performance indicators that you're driving your business forward on. So to me, and I come from an IT background, but I think it really is important to have IT at the forefront of anything being implemented and decisions made of how you are going to run those systems so that it benefits the overall organization.
Yes. And, I think it's fair to say that with any change, there's going to be some people who get it. So if we're talking about, creating this culture, yes, we're on board. Other people, not quite sure what it is or a little confused. How would you say, as a CEO, how do you champion that data-driven culture from the top down? So how do you really make it a part of an organization, which I know is kind of a big topic, but just kind of some thoughts there.
Yeah, and so let me make sure I understand. You're saying, how do I, as the CEO, champion that data-driven culture? How do I? Yeah, it's really about making sure. Might be some of my peers in the organization, the people that we work with in the organization, might say I'm too data-driven. Might say that I don't like making a decision without the data at hand. I think that's true, but I think that my philosophy is that I need to make data-backed decisions. I need my decisions to be driven by not a total gut feel, but by the data that's available to me, so that I can look at what's going on in the organization from, hard metrics to be able to make a decision on where we go in the future, where we spend our money, how we spend our time and our resources. So for me, and the way that I've driven a culture inside of Velosio, that's what I feel is data driven, is by making sure that data is at the forefront of our future plans and of the decisions we're making to move the business forward. And then, also coming up with a good agreed upon list of key performance indicators. What are the KPIs that drive the business? What are the KPIs that we need to be focused on, and making sure that those KPIs are accessible and available to everyone that benefits from them. And then, talking about those KPIs, making sure that when we have our leadership meetings, when we have our team meetings, that we're talking about the KPIs and what are those KPIs telling us about where the business is headed, where we might need to pivot or where we might need to, maybe invest more to benefit from those leading indicators. I think really using data to drive the decisions and drive the conversations of the business fosters that that culture of being data driven.
Yeah, and I would even add in, from just an employee perspective on the other side, is the transparency of being able to see, hey, like, here's what these numbers look like, here's what this means. And it kind of also creates that, because we're all seeing it together versus only certain people, see these metrics or see these KPIs. It's understood around, which of course just trickles down as far as more people thinking that way about the work that they do as well.
Well, that's great to hear. And, I hope we continue to drive more and more KPIs into the business, and that we're all truly, viewing and looking at those KPIs as the drivers for our future endeavors. If we continue to do that, continue to talk about it amongst our teams, bring them to our town halls, bring them to our group meetings, I think that we'll continue to become more and more of a data-driven organization.
Absolutely. And this kind of leads into this as far as some examples of how Velosio has leveraged the data in order to drive profitability and business success.
Yeah, and this is a lot. We've luckily at Velosio been on this data-driven journey for a long time now. So it's there's many examples over the years, but both by using market research and market data to determine where we spend our marketing efforts, where we spend our time, like this LinkedIn Live. That's an important thing that's allowed us to spend our marketing dollars. We talk about, our people and our organization. Any professional service organization is really driven by per person productivity, per consulting productivity. Luckily, we're a a software company, a consulting company, and a what I'd call a value-added reseller. We have many different aspects and different parts of our business, and we do that for both direct clients and our partner channel, which we spend a lot of effort trying to help our partners to be able to benefit from the data we collect. I think that we look at that in a way that we take the maybe blinders of the past off and try to look at it into the future of what that's telling us. And during COVID, 5 years ago now when it started, but we found that a lot of people were investing in systems in a way that they hadn't in the past, and really the cloud got accelerated during that transition to people working from home and others. And while we thought that that the pandemic was going to create a contraction of IT spend, we quickly saw the leading indicators pointing towards it creating an expansion, and making sure that we were ready for and able to support the customers where they were going means that we had to both retrain team members. We had to get team members ready for some of the newer conversations that were going on. We had to make sure that our team members were enabled for those remote implementations, and that was all done by looking at the leading indicators from our sales channel and from our customer conversations. That's an important way. When we think about some of our traditional on-prem solutions have kind of are going towards a sunset. They're end of life now, and those customers will be needing to transition to another solution. Making sure that we keep our staff engaged with the customers the way that the customers want to be engaged with has been an important part of looking at the data and looking at the trends of our engagements and looking at the trends of our customers. So making sure that we have the right people deployed in the right places to support the clients where they're at has been a big part of looking at our data. I could go on this forever. I mean, we've, if we look at our implementations, and we do an analysis of, what in the implementations are taking the most time. Data conversions of legacy systems to modern systems was always a huge component of our consumption of hours for our projects. So we've invested in automation tools to help our future projects to be more efficient. We do that on a reoccurring basis by looking at our past projects to find where efficiencies can be gathered, which hopefully helps our clients, gives us a competitive advantage, and allows us to reduce that total cost of ownership and that implementation expense, but also see that ROI at the return on investment for our clients much quicker, which are all things that our clients ask for. It reduces risk when we can automate something, which is great. And we've done all of that through the analysis of the data that we collect during an implementation.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And with that, what I want to make sure I let everyone know is that if you have been enjoying this conversation, we do have a boosting profitability guide that is available. It is hot off the presses of 2025. And I have linked that into the comments. So you can go ahead and grab that. It's for any business leader that is really looking to make those data-informed decisions and really get that going throughout their entire culture throughout this year and beyond. So with that, Robbie, thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with me today and sharing some of your thoughts and your insights on really building that culture. Do you have any final words for us?
No real final words. I want to thank you, Jessica, for orchestrating this and getting me on here. I love talking to our clients, so thank you for putting me out here.
Awesome. All right, everyone. We'll see you next time, and have a great rest of your day.
Bye-bye.